Welcome to another great episode of the Smooth Business Growth Podcast, where we share 15 minutes of fast-paced, pure marketing strategies proven to move the needle in your business. I'm your host and Captain Lindsay Phillips. I'm the founder of Smooth Sailing Business Growth, where we help busy entrepreneurs attract and convert customers faster through powerful and consistent content marketing. In fact, if you go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com, you can download your social media roadmap to help you do just that. So we're going to be talking about money and taxes today. Don't groan, because this is going to save you thousands of dollars. My guest, Tax Coach Diane Gardner, has saved people over $3 million in taxes. Insane. So she's going to share signs that you might be outgrowing your accountant, and of course, how to stop overpaying your taxes, people. So let's set sail. Welcome aboard, Diane.
Lindsay, thank you so much for having me on your program today.
Awesome. And I've never even thought about this before, about outgrowing your accountant. But there are so many different levels of accounting and tax preparation and all that kind of stuff. And it's really something to consider. Like, how do you know it's time to make a switch?
Well, Lindsay, what I see when I interview people from all across the U.S. is they start complaining that their accountant hasn't reached out to them in a year. Or the last time I heard from my accountant was when they mailed me something to do with my income taxes. Mm-hmm. Or my accountant never ever has conversations with me that tell me ways that I can grow my business or ways that I can save taxes in my business. My accountant forgets I even exist. My accountant doesn't return my phone calls.
Right.
My accountant doesn't return my emails.
Dang.
Those are really good signs that you're possibly outgrowing your accountant. Or my accountant doesn't get me. They don't understand me.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Or because there's so many different types of business, and you want to feel like your accountant understands your business so that you're getting all the write-offs that you need.
Right. And unfortunately, most accountants aren't entrepreneurial. And if you're a very entrepreneurial person, you're growing your business, or you're a serial entrepreneur, they don't get it. They're kind of sitting back there trying to put the right numbers in the right boxes and filing something and saying, woohoo, look what we did. And you're like, you're 13 steps ahead of them. So that's painful for people.
And we were talking off air before we got on here, and you brought up something that I didn't even really think about it. I mean, there's people that prepare taxes. There's people that plan taxes. And you had another one. Can you kind of go through that so that we all understand the difference?
You bet. Yeah, we were talking earlier about the difference between tax preparation, which is hiring somebody to prepare that tax return for you, do it correctly, and then get it filed on time. Mm-hmm. And then the next step up my little proverbial ladder is tax projection. And that's where the accountant will sit down with their client maybe once a year, sometimes in the fall, and they'll run some pretend numbers. They'll kind of annualize their income and give them some sort of an idea. Do we need to change your estimated payments, or are we good? And that's sometimes all the further they ever go.
Right.
But then the next step up the ladder is more in the tax planning arena, where you're taking a look at a 3 to 5 year plan. You're incorporating the business, your personal life. What are your dreams, goals, and desires? What's your retirement plan? What's your exit strategy? All this whole ball of areas that can really have huge effects on your business, and pulling all that into your tax planning world and making a difference on your tax return, but yet meeting those other goals all at the same time.
And I think that's too where the whole outgrowing your accountant, like, are they just a tax preparer? Do they help you project in the next year? Or are they really looking at the big picture and helping you plan like all of your finances and your future?
Right, and it's important that accountant has built out a team. They've got financial planners they work with. They got attorneys they work with. They've got insurance people they work with. They've got pension retirement companies they work with. They've got all this team built out. Because if you're having a conversation, and in that conversation something comes up and we realize that you are underinsured or something like that in your business, you want to be able to know that there's somebody on that accountant's team who can step right in and help you.
I would never have even have thought of that. I would just be like, to me, an accountant, tax person, whatever, like it's just your tax return at the end of the year. But I mean, it's finances, man. It's like you want to know that they're looking out for you.
Right. And probably the most important thing in your whole life outside of your family relationship is your finances, because your finances will make or break you really fast. And
that is true.
That accountant needs to be on board. They also need to be able to maybe give a little bit of tough love. I've had to do that with a few of my clients and say, let's back up a second. If you do this, what's the outcome going to be? What's it going to cost you? What's your real goal? What are you trying to get to? Because sometimes they just need somebody to say, have you ever thought about doing X, Y, Z? And turn them around into a little bit different focus.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're trying to grow a little bit too fast, and back it up just a little bit, get that foundation a little bit steadier, and then take off and go. Because if that foundation isn't steady, it can crumble the business as well.
That's true. And it's like, really, as business owners, it's like we know our business, but we don't know what we don't know, right? When it comes to taxes and preventing, you don't want to find out too late. Like all of a sudden you get your tax return, you're like, holy mother of goodness. You know what I mean?
Just happened.
I know. Whereas like if someone had your back and was helping you plan and knew all these things, and I honestly would never even thought of having an accountant that has a team behind them. It wouldn't have even entered my mind. So hopefully this is enlightening for a lot of people out there. So like, what should your accountant be doing? And if they're not doing, how does it cost you money?
Well, if your accountant isn't tracking along with you, staying in contact with you, communicating with you on a regular basis, they can be costing you money just simply by the fact that you think you're doing everything okay. You show up at their office a year later to have your tax return done, and your profit went from maybe somewhere less than 100,000 to multiple hundreds of thousands because of something that happened to you during the year. And all of a sudden you're looking at, you owe penalties and you owe interest and you owe all this stuff because you didn't know that you needed to adjust those estimated payments, or you didn't know that there was 3 or 4 different tax planning strategies that could have been put in place that could have saved you thousands of dollars in tax, just because you had an accountant who wasn't in good, close communication with you.
Hugely eye-opening. And it's funny, I'm looking at my own, accounting of what I'm doing right now. And you make me think beyond, you know what I mean? Like, I think they should be doing more for me. Because my business is growing, I'm kind of freaking out going, what are my taxes going to be next year? So these are really important things to be considering. Now, you, though, Diane, are a tax coach. So how is that different?
A tax coach, Lindsay, I get to do the fun stuff. I get to sit down with you, or I won't say you specifically because you're in Canada, but in the U.S., I get to sit down with successful business owners, and we get to take a look at what they've been doing the last 2 years. I look at their last 2 years tax returns, and then I get to listen to their dreams, their goals, their desires, and work with them and create a plan to help them achieve those goals while saving taxes at the same time. So that's the fun stuff. The not so fun stuff is putting the right numbers in the right boxes, filing it on time. We call that tax season. That's not fun. But the other part is fun because I get to do planning and I get to be creative, and I get to meet some of the neatest people all over the U.S. Just because I now do tax coaching instead of just the traditional accounting work.
And it's almost like detective work. Like you're analyzing their business to see where you can find ways to, gosh, you've saved people over $3 million. That's insane.
And it's so rewarding to know that I'm making a difference in people's lives. I've had clients completely get out of debt. I've had a client buy a commercial building and pay for it in like 3 years just with his tax savings.
Wow.
Had another one build their dream home. So it's so cool when I can get something tangible like that for them. I have another one that we're working towards buying a huge piece of commercial property, but it's going to take us a few years of some tax savings to get there. But when they have those tangible goals, that makes it so much fun to get to work with them and then watch that goal get met.
Love that. I love seeing results. So what are some ways that maybe we're missing to kind of help stop overpaying taxes? Like, what are some things that we are totally missing the boat on?
Well, under the new tax law, there's some great new benefits through the qualified business income deduction. And that's such a confusing topic that most people have heard of it, but they're not sure how it's going to affect them. And so there's a lot of planning around that new deduction that has to do with the net profit of their business. And certain kind of businesses qualify and other kinds of businesses don't if their income exceeds certain levels. But for those who do qualify, it's a new deduction of basically a 20% deduction based on the net profit of their business. Now, it's not quite that simple, but that's a brand new deduction to land on their income tax return. So there's a huge amount of planning around that. Should we make this move because it's going to cost us in the deduction? What's it going to save us overall? So it's way more strategic now than it was a year ago on some of these just coming from the new tax law that takes place for 2018 for the first time.
Yeah. Interesting. Gosh, the laws change all. Like, how do you keep up?
Tons of continuing education classes.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So what are some questions that maybe we should be asking our accountant?
I think I would ask, does your accountant specialize in certain kinds of industries?
That is a
so
good
like
question.
myself, I don't touch anybody in manufacturing. I know enough to be dangerous, but that's not a good place to be. You don't want an accountant that knows that much about manufacturing. Does your accountant specialize in service industries, or do they specialize in celebrities, or do they specialize in attorney? I don't know. Find out, what do they specialize in? Because if you can find somebody who specializes in your industry, they're going to have way more in-depth knowledge.
True.
They're going to have some KPIs or key predictive indexes that help you measure your business against other similar kinds of businesses in your geographic area potentially. Are they staying current on, especially on this new tax law?
I know, eh?
So many accountants are just kind of trying to figure it out at the end of the year while the rest of us were teaching classes on it last spring. And, making sure that you've got somebody who's proactive and not reactive. What's their communication style? Will they communicate with you? Are they doing a newsletter or blogs or something to where you're getting something from them on a regular basis? Are they stepping up, doing more than just that traditional accountant that waits for you to come to them?
Yeah, that is important stuff to think about. Questions that I'm asking right now. See, and I keep telling you, Diane, that you need to learn Canadian tax law.
I know. In my spare time, I'll get on that for you.
And we don't have tax coaches up here in Canada at all. So, man, if I were American, I would hire you in a split second. And it's amazing that you guys, like that there's even tax coaches in the States in general. Like, I so wish we had this in Canada.
Yeah. We just need to move you a few miles across the border, my dear.
As long as it's hot and sunny, because it's freezing right now. Before we go, just maybe give an extra tip of something that they should ask the accountant, or a deduction that maybe they're missing out on that they need to look into.
Well, just real quick, I'll give you a couple that are going to land on somebody's personal income tax return, because even though we're business owners, we file personal returns.
Totally.
This year's standard deduction is basically doubled than it was in the prior years. So a married couple will be able to deduct about $24,000 and a single person about $12,000. But on the flip side, we lost our personal exemptions. So we've always had those over the years. We would get a particular deduction for the number of family members in our families. Right. And so that particular deduction is gone. But we have a child tax credit, so now we get paid for having kids, and it's a credit, not a deduction. A credit is dollar for dollar right off of your tax, and that number went from $1,000 to $2,000 per child. Oh, wow. And then we have a new family credit of $500 for those children who have grown out of the child tax, which means as soon as they turn 17 on up, and they're still your dependent, or if you've got parents you're supporting, or those kinds of things, you have a new $500 family credit that we'll be able to take. So that was just, 3 really fast ones?
Yes, I'd say. And they should ask their accountant about all of those credits and deductions.
Right.
There's so many changes. There's too much to keep up on. And I think we just assume that any accountant that we hire or tax preparer or whatever are going to know all of that stuff. But I think we need to be proactive in asking the right questions and making sure that they're being our advocate.
Right. Yes. Don't just assume.
No. So how can people find you? And I know you've got an awesome guide to give away as well.
Yes, the best place they can find me is going to www.taxcoachforyou.com/smooth. And that's taxcoach4you.com/smooth. And we have a wonderful tax planning guide. It's probably 10 to 12 pages, beautiful colors, and all kinds of information about the new tax law and various tax saving strategies for you.
Awesome. And I think the more educated we are, the more we can stand up for ourselves and be empowered to keep money in our pockets, man.
And that's so important because people hear me all over the nation say, we all have to pay our fair share amount of tax,
right?
But there's nothing out there that says we have to leave the IRS a big tip or whatever your
so
taxing agency is in Canada.
That is so true. And we work so darn hard for our money. It's like we don't want to be giving it away.
Right. Yeah. Let's put more of it back in our pockets and use it to grow our businesses.
Awesome. And of course, go to taxcoach4you.com. I'll have those on the show notes as well to check out. I mean, Diane is an author of 6 books now. I can't keep track.
I think more like about 12.
And they're on the website and, of course, her services. So thanks so much. These were killer tips.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Awesome. So this week's 50-minute cruise to move the needle in your business, folks, has come to an end. Thanks again to awesome tax coach Diane. Now, if you're looking to achieve faster growth through content marketing and sales funnels, look no further than smoothbusinessgrowth.com. So have a profitable and productive week, folks, and may the winds always be at your back.